Policing while pregnant. As more females choose law enforcement as a profession, the chance of pregnancy occurring for active duty police officers becomes more significant for police departments. Policing is considered a high-risk occupation, therefore, work accommodations can allow for safe continued employment for the pregnant female officer. Previous qualitative research completed by Langan et al. Found that pregnant officers often expressed dissatisfaction and felt undervalued in their position for light duty assignment. By examining workplace accommodations and policies, the results may lead to improving experience for the pregnant officer in health and wellness and potentially increase female recruitment and retention. The purpose of our study was to identify current workplace accommodation practices and how they were perceived by working pregnant police officers. We also wanted to identify any pregnant-related discomfort while on the job. The concerns with law enforcement and pregnancy are the high physical demands of the job and the increased risk for injury and potential adverse birth outcomes. We felt it was important to understand specific physical limitations and physical effort required for a pregnant police officer while on duty to develop best practice guidelines. We expected to find that placing a pregnant officer on light duty and assigning her to desk work would not be perceived as effective in reducing pregnancy-related pain or discomfort, and that the accommodations would also be perceived negatively by the female officer. In our methodology, our inclusion criteria included current and former employed female police officers from Canada and United States that were 18 years and older. Our recruitment was mainly through social media. Our research study took place entirely online via a custom Qualtrics survey. The survey questions were focused on demographics, pregnancy status, daily jobs, tasks, and a pain map was used to evaluate discomfort and while on duty and temporary reassignment, and along with a mobility scale index. Pregnancy policies were obtained from open source internet and from departments and were used to provide additional details to our study. Because it was primarily a qualitative study, central tendency and basic averaging was used. Results: we had 75 responses and 45 subjects met the criteria for our study. Sample included representation from all levels of law enforcement. The average age was 43. For the pregnancy mobility index questions, the top limitations for mobility identified were difficulty getting things off the floor, bending over, kneeling, and wearing a duty belt. The body regions with the highest level of pain reported were low back, tailbone, abdomen, and hips. Experience with pregnancy accommodations for the officers varied, with some being satisfied and others being deeply dissatisfied. For the participants that stated dissatisfied, they used terms such as undervalued, useless, and isolated to identify their feelings. 92% of the respondents reported that they were not provided any mental health or wellness resources from their department while pregnant, and 68% felt that a comprehensive pregnancy policy could help improve the recruitment of female police officers. In our discussion, this research adds to previous qualitative research supporting the fact that pregnant female police officers do not always welcome desk duty assignment as accommodation. It supports the need for administration to consider developing resources and programs to improve the well-being of active duty police officers that are pregnant. This study was able to identify physical risks and barriers that pregnant officers experience while on full-time duty and light duty, particularly with common movements required and discomfort that was associated with it. Our limitations: the sample size was relatively small for this type of analysis. The response rate for certain questions, as participants were able to skip questions. There was a recall bias for some of the former retired officers, self-selection, and there was a larger Canadian response then that could bias the results as well. As far as future research, it's needed globally to increase the understanding regarding policy and pregnancy and its physical and mental effects on pregnant officers, and perhaps for future studies evaluating pre-accommodation ergonomic assessments, wellness programs, and stretching and exercise for pain reduction. Thank you very much.